Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel, and thanks for logging on. Today, we're discussing the closest thing that exists to a Laurent Ferrier sports watch. It's the Laurent Ferrier Galet Square Boreal micro-rotor in stainless steel. You can see and you can purchase this stainless steel luminescent dial cushion-cased Galet micro-rotor on our website. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you enjoy these videos, and please click on the card in the upper right-hand corner of the screen at any time during this video to see our full sales listing for this watch, with additional accessories included in the sale, high-resolution images for your desktop, and naturally complete pricing details for this Laurent Ferrier Galet Square Boreal. Now, this watch came out in 2016, and it was a successor to a similar-only watch offering that featured for the first time a sensational luminescent dial. For Laurent Ferrier, this truly is as close as they get to making a sports utility style watch. It's still thin, it's still fine, it has the same standard finish inside and out. It's just one that you can see in the dark, so naturally, stay tuned until the end of the video for a lume shot. Now, on my wrist, it's an easy watch to wear. Effectively 41mm by 41mm, not counting the lugs. It is a true cushion case. Now, the watch is also reasonably slim. So 41mm from 9 to 3, not inclusive of the bulb-shaped crown. The timepiece is relatively slim at 11.4mm with a generously sloped bezel and case flank, so it easily slides underneath a tight sleeve or dress cuff despite being a sportier Laurent Ferrier. From lug to lug, it's a compact 47.3mm, so I believe you could wear this watch on a wrist as small as 13.5 to 14 centimeters in circumference with comfort, security, and stylistic panache. Now, the watch does have a very regular case back shape. As you can see, it's a snapback case, 30 meters water resistant despite the sporting pretensions of the case and dial. But because that snapback case is so flat, it doesn't create any hot spots or pressure points on the wrist. Now, the strap is in keeping with the sporting theme of the watch. It is a rubberized leather. It has a wonderful texture to it, very supple and soft with a contrasting stitch, and as you can see, it has a sheer cut flank for a dramatic squared off look on the underside. Likewise, very handsomely made. The contrasting stitch really pops, and the supple coating of rubber over the leather makes this an exceptionally comfortable watch. You'll note the pin buckle, simple but handsomely sculpted. It's not a default design. Unique to Laurent Ferrier, it is a handsome piece. The lugs are beautifully traditional in that they have almost a rounded off teardrop look to them. You can see they do have a separate sculptural beauty about themselves because they project and jut out distinctly from the case form. There's very little integration of case and lug, so they have a strong and proud stance of their own across the wrist. They don't look like a visual extension of a case so much as attachments vintage style from the era when all cases were produced by welded lug construction. So the case profile is handsome with sensuous compound curves, all of high polish. You can see that there are some distinct character lines you can see running along the case back, running along the upper shoulder of the case. There's a junction with a similar shoulder across the side, across the lug-wise profile of the watch. So it has a combination of sensuous feminine curves and masculine creases. A perfect combination for a high horology brand from Geneva. A little bit of elegance, a little bit of strength. Now, the dial is exceptionally subtle, and it's almost difficult to express the level of detailing going on here. Now, you may be able to see that there is a countersunk sub-register for seconds with a counterweighted lancet style hand. You'll also note the exceptionally large and broad white gold sword hands or broadsword hands tracing a sort of minimalist sector dial. Now, there is actually an outboard railroad track for the minutes, and if you were to, let me see if I can get a little bit more aperture into play here, you can sort of see it on the upper periphery of the dial. You can also see the ghosted Laurent Ferrier company marquee at 12 o'clock. So there is this slightly raised and ghosted railroad track with inset Arabic numerals. Difficult to see, but this watch works on every level, subtle and overt. So every level from the subtle to the overt. We will get to the overt in a moment. But there are two different versions of the Boreal. One features more of a contemporary luminova aesthetic with a green luminova. This one features a warm simulated patina that Laurent Ferrier specifically describes as a black nickel dial with vertical satin and a beige luminova. So officially that color is beige, not simulated patina. Now you turn the watch over, and one might argue that regardless of the dial style, this is the main event for any Laurent Ferrier timepiece. Let me see if I can get just a little bit closer and keep the movement in focus. What you're looking at is the Laurent Ferrier FBN 22901, 35 joules, automatic winding with a 72-hour power reserve. It is a dual direct impulse escapement, a natural escapement adapted from the Breguet era to wristwatch format. It features twin escape wheels of Liga-etched nickel phosphorus, and you can just barely see them operating below the balance. They are alternated, locked and unlocked by a silicon locking device that alternates back and forth between the two wheels, and the wheels themselves impulse the balance rather than operating a Swiss lever. So this is a highly efficient system designed to decrease parasitic losses in the escapement, permitting longer running as well as greater timing stability and precision for any particular period of time, 24, 48, 72 hours. And once again, 72-hour power reserve wound by a micro-rotor that features a pawl-based system. So a jeweled staff, there are jewels on both sides, and then a staff that runs through, guilloche cut micro-rotor, and then twin pawls ensure that the system effectively has none of the wobble or audible rattle of contemporary ceramic bearing-based systems, the pawl and the jeweled staff creating a very smooth winding action. The one technical refinement the watch does not have is hacking seconds, but what it does have is a free-sprung balance oscillating at 21,600 vibrations per hour, adjusted in 6 positions, exceptionally because a chronometer is generally adjusted in 5. Adjusted painstakingly in 6 positions, the watch is as finely finished from a functional standpoint as it is from an aesthetic standpoint, so you'll see things like polishing or roulage of pivot points. You will see the teeth of wheels have been beveled and mirror polished. You have that same level of aesthetic finish that you have at the functional level too, because just as the individual components are beautifully made to maintain precision, you can see all of the components that are finished for aesthetic purposes are finished with a virtuosity. A richly textured linear Côte de Genève perfectly aligned across the bridges top to bottom, as you can see. Big fat mirrored anglage, rounded by hand, with no fewer than 5 interior angles, incredibly difficult to achieve. The two difficult arts represented in this movement, aside from the general such as Côte de Genève or engine-turned perlage evenly spaced, but black polish and interior angles. So interior angles being tight clefts, such as you see on the interior of the skeletonized balance cock, or about the center wheel as the three-quarter style bridge kinks in the middle around the center wheel pivot. You can see that interior angle. To keep those angles sharp and mirror finished is one of the great challenges for a movement finisher. The other great challenge that's represented is black polish, and you can see that black polish, or poly noir, so named because from many angles it will reflect no light and appear, though optically smooth, to be black. And you can see everything that turns black when I turn the watch flush to the camera is black polished, including the beautifully executed bridge for the micro-rotor. Now you'll also note that when you turn the watch flush to the camera, you can actually see the lit and glinting surfaces of all of those anglaged edges more clearly than when I hold the watch at an angle. So beautiful, also intellectually beautiful with the level of engineering that's present. This is a timepiece that fires on all cylinders. Beautifully made on both sides, innovative in its style, and very comfortable on the wrist. You can see and you can purchase this Laurent Ferrier Galet Square Boreal on our website. The Laurent Ferrier Galet Square Boreal, 72-hour power reserve, micro-rotor automatic, the best in Geneva watchmaking, day or night.